What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special E3 edition of Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hadfield. Joining me this week, Justin Davis,
Scoop.
Jared Petty,
E3 Scoop,
Sam Claiborne.
3 scoops.
We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about Bethesda's conference. We're going to talk about Batman. But first, what do you guys think the #1 story of E3 is so far?
Oh,
wow. You mean Samwise?
in terms of, no, Mr. GMG, in terms of IGN, like traffic.
I mean, even though it just happened this morning, surely it has to be the Xbox One, Mr. Scorpion.
Mr. Scorpion, the actual,
Scorpion?
the official name for it. You're
I'm
close.
going to go with something more like something probably that having to do with some kind of free game. Like something like maybe the compatibility between Windows and Xbox.
You're further off. It's actually the Xbox Slim leak.
Oh,
It's
really?
been the top performing story thus far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
No kidding.
Yeah, so people are very interested in that. Let's start off with the Microsoft conference in general. That was this morning. Had a little time to process it. How are you guys feeling about Microsoft's performance?
I liked it.
All right, moving on. No, just kidding. Why do you think there's so much interest in that Xbox One Slim?
Well, because
Xbox One S.
you know, console news is always exciting. Like, ooh, new hardware. What's it do? What's it capable of? What's it give me that I didn't have before? So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's the smallest Xbox ever.
Yeah. And who doesn't love
Is
a
that
good small
true?
Xbox?
Yeah, well, maybe. I think so. I don't
first
know. I
one
said
was
it.
so
I think
big.
they said. I think their line was the smallest Xbox One yet, and it's like, well,
That's kind of.
I mean,
I really do like small consoles,
Low
like
bar.
compact consoles. Ones that feel dense, I enjoy
Sure.
those. The Dreamcast was that way. The PC Engine's that way. And the Slim, it's really cool looking. Does it matter particularly? Is it a major upgrade? No, but it's nifty.
It's
Yeah.
not even an upgrade.
No.
And there is an upgrade coming.
That's the thing that gets me is, man, like, okay, all right.
all right, okay, here we go.
So Microsoft is a company full of very, very smart people. They know what they're doing, presumably. But why, if you know you have a bigger, better Xbox coming in 18 months, who's going to buy an Xbox One between now and then?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a thunder-stolen
No.
thing, right?
This is an interesting question. Here, here's what I'll do. I'm going to post a poll on Twitter right now, and people can vote while the show goes on, and then we'll
the magic
revisit
of
here.
live television.
We'll revisit here. Justin, take the reins.
Yeah, so, I mean, but that's the big question, right, is they announced that this new console is coming out. So I've heard a couple different theories. So the Xbox One Slim is out now, and the Project Scorpio, isn't coming till next year. And some people think that maybe this is a sign the Scorpio is going to be actually really expensive.
Oh, you think so?
So if it's a very, very high-end 4K premium console for, you know, the very hardcore, most plugged-in gamers, maybe that's why it makes sense to have, you know, the existing, you know, $300 Xbox One, and then they'll have, you know, a $700 console, maybe.
You really think they go that high after what happened with the PS3 launch?
I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, otherwise, I just don't see how they'll sell any Xbox Ones over the next 12
I thought the
months.
opposite. I thought the Slim might be a way for them to cut down on production costs so much that they could make it really, really low price.
It's $299, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but sometimes those prices just drop and drop and drop and drop really quickly. And remember the Xbox Arcade Edition, like ended up at like $130 or
That's
something.
true.
Like
So maybe they're gonna.
This is what that has to end up being.
Yeah.
The cheap on-market Xbox.
Yep.
Or maybe this wasn't the plan. I mean, it's also possible that the leaks of the PS Neo then led to, well, we've got to show Scorpio because we've got to show we're not falling behind. You know, I don't know. Maybe they didn't want it to happen this way.
I mean, I own every console, and I don't necessarily have a favorite. I mean, I have my preference based off of, you know, the controllers and other things, but I just love sort of the console war, or, like, it's happening again. Like, we're back to 3 years ago. I mean, I just like the drama of it. Like, everyone thought that the Scorpio was going to be...
drama queen.
They thought the Scorpio was going to be after the Neo, right? The Neo was going to be first to market, but now Neo is not at E3, and Xbox is,
Well,
and,
it
like...
still could be first to market if Scorpio's not coming till
I know.
late.
I like the gamesmanship of it, of these two titans sort of going head-to-head.
Well, it's all about messaging. I do think that when you said, you know, that you enjoyed the console war, Brian Altano died somewhere when you said that.
But I mean, just the drama of it, like the E3 drama of you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't know, you know, who's going to say what. That part of it is, it's
I
one
agree
of the
that
joys of E3.
the gamesmanship and the messaging is neat. And you think about what happened a few E3s ago when Microsoft, frankly, dropped the ball when they had every advantage and just absolutely blew it. And Sony took advantage of that.
You mean with a console launch, not just the E3, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the
with,
entire
the Kinect,
console launch.
The
Yeah.
Kinect bundled launch.
Right,
Yeah,
but the
I mean,
way
that was
they
one of the-
chose to present it.
That was one of the best E3 moments ever, certainly of the last decade.
Yeah.
When Sony was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, and I own every console, play games on every console, but I like, seeing them slug it out is just great entertainment.
Oh, you guys are talking about when they're like, they're going to lock all the games into the console, and there's all the drama.
You've got to have Connect, and it's going to cost more.
Sony did a mic drop back in the day with the same thing when the Saturn was announced.
Oh,
and they walked up and they just said the price and walked off stage.
Freaking amazing. I like those dramatic moments if you can keep them in context. I don't like when they become the entire narrative. You don't want, the angry fanboy thing, and then this is better and that is better. No, games are what matter. This is a fun element of it. I hope people don't carry it to the nth degree where they're screaming profanities at one another across message boards because their piece of silicon is better than somebody else's piece of silicon.
It is. The Nintendo NX completely bowed out of this this whole thing.
3 new consoles next year.
But 3 new consoles next year. But we just heard the first NX game confirmation.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
Just Dance 2017.
That's right. First third-party confirmation. We've heard some rumors about maybe Dragon Quest games being on it, but this is really
what
exciting.
a world.
Now
Also,
we know.
in a first, Just Dance 2017 is coming to the Wii. Is this the first time a game has hit one manufacturer's
3 consoles in a row?
Yeah, maybe it doesn't even come to Wii U.
Is it skipping
I mean, I don't know, but
is it coming
it's
to
either
DS?
coming to 3
3DS,
console
DS,
generations
and
of
GBA?
Nintendo, or it's skipping one in the middle.
It's coming to the Xbox One and the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
If it's skipping Wii U, that's incredible.
Did you get poll results already?
Poll results are starting to come in.
Yeah.
Remember, you can vote at twitter.com/Dame0. Now, I've always wondered that I feel like Microsoft is at a disadvantage having to go first in the day, always. Because even though these press conferences are planned out weeks, months ahead of time, it still gives Sony the opportunity to say something and comment on Microsoft. I wonder why they don't make them just flip every year.
Yeah, it's like that Brutus and Mark Antony thing. If you go second, then you can build on what the other guy did. You feel like going first let you make that punch. But like Sam said with that 1995 story, Sony's ability to react to Saturn's pricing, come out and undercut them by $100.
You always want to go second. The worst case scenario is you just ignore what happened before and sort of run your playbook. And then the best case scenario is you have a chance to respond.
Yeah.
It is, I like the hardware news and I like the console wars, but it is all about the games. And that's why I actually loved Microsoft's conference so much.
Okay, before we jump back to the games, I want to know if you think, now Sony said they're not bringing the Neo, not talking about it, but now that Microsoft has that forced their hand somehow, or are they just going to be like, nope, we don't have any new
I think
hardware
they
coming.
very strategically, they're talking to the Financial Times right before the show, and they're like, yes, the thing exists. We're going to admit that, and we'll be glad to tell you about it later.
It was a very low-key confirmation.
Yeah.
Yep, and I think they did that just so they could deflect. So Sony's going to come out tonight, I expect, and be like, let's talk about VR, let's talk about games. Let's talk about things that we are strong in right now. Let's talk about the most affordable virtual reality rig you can get right now. You're going to be able to take this home, hopefully this Christmas, put it on, and do something you've never done before. And let's talk about the games you can play on it. I think that's going to be their playbook tonight.
I agree. I think Sony's going to be, here's a game, it's on PS4 and VR. Here's another game, it's on PS4 and VR. And then that's going to be their whole conference.
PS4 and PSVR exclusive.
Yeah, what was the
goodness gracious.
Xbox One and Windows? It
really
breaks the cadence.
It really doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, if they hadn't established last year that Xbox One exclusive, that was their thing last year.
That sounds good.
Yeah, this is just kind of awkward. And what about that, by the way? That's kind of once again, that shift in strategy. Here we are. What is it now?
Trying
is it
to
a
make
console?
this ecosystem, right?
Or is it a platform? Is it kind of a broader walled garden of Microsoft games that hopefully they're going to sell you through Microsoft
They're going beyond
stores?
the console generation.
They are. They're transcending.
Yeah. All right, current poll results. 59% say yes. They're going to hold off and not purchase the Xbox One Slim because they know Scorpio's coming so far. That's with 388 million votes so far.
Okay, so we slammed the Slim, but I'm going to side with the Slim people now, just to play devil's advocate.
Alliterate a little better.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
The Slim is going to be the rarest console ever. Because it's coming out between a perfectly valid system and an upgrade to that system. It's just a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
It's white. And maybe a bunch of people won't buy it. You buy it, man, that's a good investment. It's like those tiny NESs. Remember those?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Those are worth a fortune now.
Yeah.
Did you just slap it to a Slim Jim there, Sam? I believe you did.
I will say that I love my Xbox One. Played Witcher on it. Played Dragon Age on it. That console is big as hell.
Yeah, it is big.
That is one console.
Still has a power supply.
Yeah, that's a console that needs a Slim edition for sure.
Although I think anecdotally it's quieter than my PS4.
I agree with that.
It's just
quieter,
big.
huh?
Big old bulky thing.
Yeah, my PS4 sounds like a jet airplane.
Moving through the Microsoft conference, at a certain point, breakfast was served here, and I stepped out to get breakfast, and I missed Recore. Can anyone fill me in on what they showed about Recore?
You got a real cool robot buddy.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe
we already knew that, though.
Okay.
We already knew that.
Grappling hook.
Yeah, and a grappling hook.
Yeah,
you can watch it now.
They give names to the robot buddies, and they're like, hey, this one can kind of do this, and this one does this. And so one of them's like a grappling swinging thing. Another was like a big bruiser guy. And so it seems like kind of a way, a sort of a tool set, and your robots are different abilities.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool way to mask that. And I like that. I like the aesthetic a lot.
I really like the aesthetic. I don't know. I'm really impressed with this game. I like everything about it.
So what is supposed to be out by now?
It was supposed to be out by now?
It had a release date in early 2016 originally.
Okay.
And of course, that seemed crazy because it was announced at E3 last year. We hadn't seen anything about it. So I think it was kind of expected to be delayed.
Well, they revealed the release date is September 13th.
Yeah. It's great.
So not too far off. But what kind of game is it?
It looks like a third-person
adventure.
action. Yeah.
Okay.
Just like every game this gen.
Every game this gen.
I really like this climbing. Look at how cool that is.
Yeah?
It's very Bionic Commando.
Yeah.
Hey.
And I don't want to... the original Bionic Commando.
I'm not saying you're talking my language.
Yeah. Or the always acceptable Bionic Commando Rearmed. Also very good.
One of the greatest Xbox summers of live ever.
I actually think Gears 4 looks really, really excellent.
Yeah, I'm really into that demo and how that game looks, and I am not a big Gears guy. I haven't played a game since the first one, I don't think, but...
Would you say you were blown away?
I was blown away. Oh, I see what you did there.
It was a windy
demo.
game.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'll go with that.
I'm with you, Damon. I'm not a big Gears guy either, but this whole kind of haunted night thing is sort of like gothic, scary
takes place
outdoor.
On one night.
Yeah, I like that. I like the vibe. I don't, I'm not crazy about cover-based shooters. And what I saw today was a lot of shouting and shooting and shouting and shooting. But you did see things like the quick melee kills. I think that's going to be...
What about Space Invaders?
Oh, what? Oh,
as a cover-based shooter.
That is well, yeah. That's the original. That's the original cover-based shooter.
Do you shoot out your own cover in that?
Oh no, nobody. No, you never shoot out your own cover.
But your cover can be shot out.
I shoot out my own cover in Space Invaders.
Do you do very well?
No.
Oh, okay.
Damon, you're losing us.
I love the way. I mean, I've always loved Gears. I'm a huge Gears fan. Playing Gears 1 multiplayer with 8 of my friends, all in 2 teams together, remains one of my all-time greatest multiplayer memories. I love the way. It's actually, to me, it's still my favorite feeling cover system in a game. I always thought it felt better than games like Uncharted. The way you move through 3D space is very satisfying, and the roadie run always felt really good. I don't know. I like it showed me so much that that I didn't even know I wanted or needed in my Gears. I love that saw blade gun that they had. It feels like it's striking the right balance between like, hey, if you like Gears of War, here's more of it, and also what it's adding to the franchise and what it's doing new. It doesn't feel like it's afraid to do some crazy new things with the Gears franchise. A nice mix of old and new.
What's special about that game? Nobody ever speaks at a normal volume.
And with just the Gears whole series?
Just shouting the entire
Always
time.
shouting.
It's like Saturday morning cartoons.
We got
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just think it's a thing.
What do you think that one lady was saying about her mother and all that?
Oh, they're trying to get her mother.
Yeah, and then it just gets muted out. It's like she said something real mean.
Yeah.
But
there were some swears blanked out.
Is that what that was?
Ubisoft did not bleep their swears.
Goodness gracious.
They left them in.
No, they did not.
They
seem to revel in them. They sort of seem to scrub their bodies in them a bit.
Speaking of scrubbing, we got to go to a quick commercial break, but stay tuned. Game Scoop will return after these messages.
Your father was the bravest man I've ever seen.
We all lost someone we love.
Oh my God. They're coming back.
Make no mistake, this is humanity's last stand.
We've got to remind them Earth is not for the taking.
Independence Day Resurgence.
IGN's aerial footage of E3 is provided by Independence Day Resurgence, in theaters June 24th.
Welcome back to this very special E3 edition of GameScoop. Current poll results, 62% of you say you're holding off on buying an Xbox until the Scorpio next year. Passing on Xbox One S.
38% smart collectors.
Yeah.
Do we think they didn't? The weird thing about the Scorpio is they didn't officially say that that's a code name. But I mean,
but they put it up there. They said Project Scorpio.
I know, but that's what I mean. Like, is that going to be the name of it? Surely not.
Well, it'd be nifty if it were. I'd buy something called a Scorpio.
Remember, Kinect was Project Natal.
Yeah, that was Natal.
I think it's just going to be Xbox. I think they're going to do away with. It's going to be like the iPhone. Well, I guess they do brand each of the iPhones, don't they? So.
But then, if it's not an Xbox One branded console, then it's the next console? Then are we in a new hardware generation?
At this point, I think they're going backwards in time. They went up to 360 and then to One, and now back to Xbox.
Now they're not just rebooting games, they're rebooting systems.
Xbox Zero.
Breaking the console
at this point.
Xbox Infinity.
Now, during its press conference, Microsoft chose to highlight Gwent. The standalone Gwent game. And I thought that was interesting. I know Gwent is very popular, but when I think collectible card games, I think mobile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When I think collectible card games, I fall asleep.
Well,
Gwent is the second best digital card game.
Yeah, I mean, people love that. And some people, heretics, say it's even better than Hearthstone.
Wow, you've already heard that?
Vince.
What?
It's really deserving of a standalone release. It was very, very clever.
I just thought the Microsoft stage, on an Xbox One platform, was a strange place to debut it.
Here's what weirded me out about.
Yes. Shh.
Here's what weirded me out about Gwent, which was. To be really, like, that game was hard. It wasn't easy in The Witcher 3. And so you had to role play as a guy that was really nerdy and cared a lot about digital. Like, it didn't make any sense that Geralt would be that kind of person.
Yeah, you have to choose, like, dialogue options and stuff to get Gwent cards.
Yeah.
Well, and so now I can just be myself and nerd out over these cards. I don't need to pretend to be a badass Witcher that's nerding out over these cards.
Well, Geralt has a very stressful life. I think it's how he
needs to
goes back, puts his feet up. Yeah.
Well,
one of the two ways that he blows off steam.
Exactly, yeah. And what I like about Gwent is that it's so different from Hearthstone. It functions mechanically in a completely different way. Yep. It's so different that you could play both of them side by side and not get bored, I think.
They occupy completely separate design spaces.
Exactly, and because of that, I think you're going to be able to go between one or the other. I don't think this is a choice. The only question is going to be how much you're willing to spend on each of them. Well, but I don't feel like you have to be like, I'm all in for Hearthstone, I'm all in for Gwent. They are so different, you're going to be having a good time with both.
That's the big question, is people are kind of assuming that Gwent's going to be free to play, but they did announce that it's going to have a full-on single-player campaign, which seems to indicate that maybe it'll just be a $10 or $20 release. We don't know any of those details yet.
That's what I like that I'm hearing about Gwent and Elder Scrolls Legends. They both have these single-player campaigns, and that sounds pretty good.
But there's an Elder Scrolls card game as well.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
I played it.
That's Legends.
Yeah, okay, you're thinking about high-C juice boxes.
That's all I could think about.
I know.
No, I was totally into a boring game.
Which one?
The C3.
Well,
can you guess what it is?
Is it part of Microsoft's
If you can guess what it is, I'll give you fruit snacks.
Steep.
You were into a boring.
Jared knows.
I'm keeping my peace.
Okay, all right. We're not talking trash.
What's the boring game that I was really like?
Is it part of the Microsoft conference? Because that
was part of the Ubisoft conference.
Then you got to save it for later on.
Okay.
All right, my highlights from the Xbox conference: Gears 4, Inside, We Happy Few, and Halo Wars 2.
We Happy Few is really cool.
The We Happy Few demo was so good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we Happy Few, the Clockwork Orange vibe just keeps grabbing me. I knew very little about this game going in, and after the conference, actually went and looked up everything that I kind of, this has been off my radar almost completely. So going in and just being like, oh, wow, yes, I want to do this. I like the aesthetic, I like the art style, I like the fact that it seems to be concerned with actual, maybe real questions about what it's like to be wrapped up in pain and hurt, and if there's ever any way out of that. I want to see what they came up with.
It's one of the mini games that are coming from, BioShock alum, correct? I believe so.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you can see when BioShock kind of exploded, what all those shards of what BioShock makers are working on. Like, this is such a specific sliver of BioShock's original feel.
Yeah.
I really like that. You're like, oh, it's those people that like that really disturbing, masks and dystopic spaces.
But it's crazy,
that's what it is.
Like, BioShock, just kind of blowing up in dramatic fashion was so sad, but then we got a bunch of really rad sort of smaller scale indie projects.
But what's BioShock going to be now?
Yeah, and that's not going away either. We know that 2K's cooking up something.
Yeah.
So.
Like, if there's a spiritual successor that's this cool, how does BioShock compete with that?
I have no idea, but I do like the fact that as cool as it looks, I want to know what the storytelling's like. Because there's a potential to get really wrapped up in something neat here, something impactful.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they're going to run full throttle with that.
I was really curious to see how, moving on, how Microsoft would showcase Halo Wars 2 at their E3 conference. It's a big AAA game for them, but it's a RTS game. It's like, how do you make an RTS game look exciting on stage? And their answer was to just not show much, not spend too much time on it. Let's just show a CG trailer and then announce release dates and announce that a beta is out right now.
And I think that's extremely prudent because RTS games don't typically demo all that well, and certainly not in a room full of screaming people. So I don't think this reflects any lack of confidence in the game. As a matter of fact, I think they're well aware it's going to be very good, but they're just like, you know what, people that are interested in this are going to seek it out, and they're going to look at it in other venues, other forums.
I'm bummed I'm going to miss the beta because it runs this week, I think, or over the next 10 days, and not going to be home in time.
I love this trend of, if you pre-order or buy the new one, you get the last one, and you can play it right now.
Yeah,
like
that's
Halo Wars. I'll
really
totally play Halo Wars again.
That's actually like, I rarely pre-order games. That's a really good pre-order incentive.
Well, it's such a better pre-order bonus than just like some garbage. Like you get a pair of pants.
You got a skin, you got a new weapon.
But guys, if you pre-order, then you can't read the review on IGN.com to find out if it's a game for you.
Anyway.
No, you can still read.
A couple of notable missing items from the Microsoft conference. Crackdown. Not to be seen. And I think they announced it's actually gotten pushed into 2017.
Right. There's something going wrong with that game. Or maybe I shouldn't say that so definitively, but it seems like that game is not shaping up the way that they hoped or dreamed that it would. Pushed out of next year, pulled it from E3. It's a bummer. I mean, so I guess the bright side, or maybe the flip side of it, is that Crackdown 2 just didn't go well, so they really, really want to take the time to get it right this time. So I can respect that.
I agree.
Yeah, the absence of Crackdown at this was my biggest disappointment of the show so far.
Wow.
It was what I really. Oh yeah, I love Crackdown.
Who doesn't?
I can't think of an Xbox game I've enjoyed more than Crackdown. But get it right. Take your time. If they know it's not good enough to show, don't show it.
Almost everybody bought Crackdown for that Halo demo, and then they found out that they actually had a really good game.
Yep.
Yeah. And Yooka-Laylee was only seen for about 2 seconds, I think, during a highlight reel.
And the tears of Marty Sleva are still on his cheeks.
Yep.
In his beard.
The polls are still open for another 23 hours, but I can report some early results. 64% of you say you're skipping the Xbox One S, waiting for Xbox Scorpio.
990 million votes.
Yep.
That's a bigger
Nearing
number
a billion
of
votes.
people buying a Slim than I would have thought. Don't you guys agree?
What?
I thought the Slim would just be doomed.
Well, don't forget
this more.
But people are excited to upgrade, and I think that's really neat.
And this is a non-scientific poll, too. So, this is people who actually want to vote about this. You may have audience members trying
Damon's
to
a scientist.
Challenge me on science, Jared.
All right. Science battle.
Sci-fi.
Let's
science fight.
jump into Bethesda's showing, their second ever E3 conference. How did you guys feel they performed this year?
It was very impressive.
Yeah,
very
that was
impressive.
a good one.
Everyone in the video game industry should poach whoever plans Bethesda's conferences and use them to plan their own.
Yeah.
Because
Microsoft uses the people that plan the Oscars.
Yeah.
So.
I still think
Seriously?
Do you think that yes? Do you think the people that run the Bethesda conference should run the Oscars?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I've watched the Oscars and they're pretty dull. So yeah, absolutely. And I'm interested in movies, but yeah, they handle pacing really well, and it doesn't hurt that they just have interesting game after interesting game to show. I mean, they're really good at that. Yeah.
I mean, as a publisher, they've really grown up over the last few years. Where for a long time, they were every 3 years you'd hear from Bethesda when a new Elder Scrolls or Fallout came out, but just slowly and steadily, brick by brick, Dishonored's really cool. Doom turned out really great. Wolfenstein is really relevant again.
Yep.
They're bringing back Quake. They're bringing back Prey. Like they're firing on all cylinders right now.
I went into an unfeigned shaking fit when they announced Quake. I did not believe that was going to happen.
During our pre-show coverage, we were like sort of on a lark. We were like, yeah, this would never happen, but it would be cool if they brought back Quake. And then they brought back Quake.
Just right there.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, and I have no idea if this is going to be a good game or not, but this is a studio that has again and again and
we do
again.
got some questions about Quake.
Oh, well, sure, we got questions, but these people have handled Wolfenstein well. They've handled Doom well. So I see a good reason to believe that they're going to take another venerable franchise and make sure that it's handled with fidelity, that it's treated well.
One difference in this case, though, is I think they said it's coming to PC only.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's where you want your Quake. I'm okay with that, actually.
Okay.
Quake is the purest in the mouse and keyboard shooters, and I think giving it kind of a Counter-Strike treatment could be really neat.
What about Unreal?
What about Unreal? It's pretty pure.
All right.
Pure
Pretty
enough.
pure.
Pretty pure.
We briefly mentioned Elder Scrolls Legends, the collectible card game earlier, and to reiterate, I'm really excited to check that out, especially because it has a single-player campaign.
Yeah, I played it. I got a preview up on IGN.com that you can read about.
Did you have fun?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then.
No, its big thing is it plays out over 2 lanes. So you play cards on one side of the board, and then they can only attack cards on that side of the board. They can't attack cards on the other side. And I thought that would be a gimmick, but it's actually a really interesting design. And there's cards that do things like whenever they take damage, they'll switch sides and stuff like that. So it gives you a whole other layer to kind of think about.
Is it in any way friendly to multiplayer beyond 2 players? Because that's one thing I've really been waiting for in an online card game, is one that supports 3, 4, 5-player play modes.
No.
And I want
Magic the Gathering does that.
I know Magic does. Yeah, I wondered if anybody else is going to come along with that.
Do you think there'll be mods for it? Like a Macho Man Randy Savage mod?
For this?
Are we back on Slim Jims again?
For the Elder Scrolls card game?
What's your agenda, Sam?
This is like the 3rd Slim Jim we've gotten to now.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't even eat the things.
No.
They're delicious. I don't know what you're talking about.
I remember Slim Jims. They were wonderful.
They are. They're really good.
Got some new updates on Fallout. On the downloadable content coming to Fallout.
Yeah, 3 new DLC packs coming.
Park.
Yeah, the amusement park thing, I really didn't think that was going to happen. I'm so excited it turned out to be real. They pulled some stuff out of the code, and people are like, hey, this could really be the name of the new thing. And sure enough, we get a Nuka World. You know, and that's really, really cool. I like that little bottle man we're going to see here in a second. He's terrifying.
Bottleman.
Yeah, Bottleman. Bottleman. He's a little bit frightening.
I really like their DLC strategy of sort of alternating between, like, you know, here's more stuff for builders, you know, a construction set. Here's like a big story drop. Here's a little story drop. Like they're doing a really interesting mix of DLC, and I like the pace in which it's coming out too.
Yeah, I still wonder, is this going to be like a Scream Ride thing where I'm building rides and I'm able to customize and then put them together and ride them?
It's big story DLC.
Is it a giant story thing, or is this something part of it? Yeah.
Story DLC in a theme park.
Oh,
yeah, there's definitely new side quests. I actually updated our news story about it. So there's new quests, there's a new explorable area, and then there's a town that's based on the theme park.
Yeah, there's a new faction that's taken over the theme park, and it's new. It's a big new story DLC.
Well, this could be the best new theme park story since Adventures in the Magic Kingdom.
Oh. And it's the final DLC.
Yeah, this will be the last one.
They walked that back a little bit.
Oh, did they?
Really? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
I was a little disappointed when I heard that.
Never.
Yeah, that's exactly what Pete Hines said.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay.
It probably is, but you know, maybe it's just unwilling to close that door forever.
Fallout 4 came out at the end of last year, and it is still one of the best games I've had the privilege to play in a long time. And the fact that they've supported it so well, it's just Bethesda does some really great stuff.
It's true. How about that Skyrim Special Edition?
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, I was impressed at how good the PS3 and 360 versions looked when they showed them. And I was like, ooh, so this is the new one? And I was like, whoa!
I love that they opened with the PS3 version, which is kind of notorious for having problems. That was a really nice wink in that presentation. And then cutting to that beautiful landscape. I want to go back to that world, absolutely. And the outdoors, you know, it's not easy to do high-fidelity outdoor areas. The Witcher does it really well. But what they chose to show in that preview, I was like, I want to go there and hang out and camp.
But PC gamers have had it easy, right?
Yeah.
They have mods.
It's a really nice touch that if you have the game on PC and have all the DLC, you get this free.
Yeah, that's great.
Which, to be fair, I mean, there's not much. This is very much a console play. Like, if you're on a PC, you can already mod the game to be as gorgeous as you want. So this makes much more sense for people that want to play this on a home console and get mods and get, you know, just the higher graphics and new lighting.
And I didn't catch, did they confirm that includes all the DLC?
Yeah.
All the DLC, mods,
and you actually talked to Pete Hines a little bit afterwards.
Yeah.
Any other like technical upgrades?
No, we did ask about loading times, and that's something they're going to try to keep an eye on consoles. But otherwise, it's basically just a really gorgeous mod-supported version of Skyrim on your console.
They also, it's a special edition, so they added Jabba the Hutt in a few places.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is I'm actually pleased that Bethesda had the restraint to not say, hey, there's a new 5th faction, or we added a fighting pit, or like some little thing that wasn't in the base game just to get people to buy in. But they resisted, and I respect them for that.
Just in case your 200 hours of gameplay weren't enough.
All right, we got to take another quick break, but GameScoop will return after this.
IGN's aerial footage of E3 is provided by Independence Day Resurgence, in theaters June 24th.
Your father was the bravest man I've ever seen.
We all lost someone we love.
Oh my God. They're coming back.
Make no mistake, this is humanity's last stand.
We've got to remind them Earth is not for the taking.
Independence Day Resurgence.
Welcome back to GameScoop, everybody. Current poll results with 33% of districts reporting in. 65% of you say you are going to skip the Xbox One S and wait for Xbox Scorpio.
We will be live until these polls close.
Yep. It should be
23 hours.
early tomorrow morning. All right, continuing with Bethesda's news and announcements this week. Prey.
Yeah.
We finally got that Prey re-reveal.
So, I mean, we interviewed Pete Hines earlier. If you were watching the stream, you saw it. I pushed him a little bit on, I think this game looks awesome. I'm really, really impressed with it. I don't necessarily understand what makes it a Prey game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's possible that, when we see the gameplay at QuakeCon or wherever they do reveal gameplay, that, we'll find out a little bit more then.
And maybe it's just, what is a Prey game? I mean, there's only been,
There's only been one. But I like what Pete said during your interview, that this is an Arcane game and they make game systems.
Yeah.
So rather than this being a very linear scripted story, they make game systems that you as a player get to play with and experiment with. And that sounds great to me.
I love haunted space, and I saw a lot of things here that looked like haunted sci-fi, haunted space, creepy stuff going on. I love this trailer because it reveals almost nothing about the story, but it's full of intriguing hooks.
It's mysterious. Why is his eye bloody?
Yeah, and it's not just a flash of images either. They give you, you get some dialogue, you get some sense, but I think this is a very well orchestrated trailer. It was a wonderful introduction.
Can you quickly define haunted space?
Haunted space, sure. System Shock 2, haunted space.
So
Event Horizon.
So like space ghosts?
Space ghosts. One might say coast to coast. Yes.
So
indeed.
Alien, not haunted space.
Alien, I think, no, Alien's the best haunted house movie ever made. So yeah, I think Alien is haunted space, actually.
Okay.
Aliens,
so it doesn't need to be supernatural.
Not so much.
What's the best haunted house game ever made?
The best haunted house game ever made.
Probably Haunted House.
Luigi's Mansion.
Ooh, that's a good game too.
Acceptable.
Yeah. Jared Petty.
We don't have that Luigi's Mansion B-roll?
No, we don't have that.
Duggan, you let us down!
Jared Petty, I think a video game that you like is the new Doom.
Yeah, I like the new Doom.
And there's new content coming.
There is new content coming, and I know less about it than I wish I did. But yeah.
New content.
New multiplayer maps. What I do like, and I actually haven't had a chance to play Doom yet, but again, I feel like Bethesda really, really impressed me, and they impressed me yet again with Doom, which is that they're doing a combination of free stuff and paid stuff. So, if you want to give them a few dollars, you're going to get some new multiplayer maps and a new multiplayer character and some skins. But, if you don't want to give them any extra money, you're still going to get all the Snapchat tools. It's not Snapchat, Snap Map.
Although,
Snap Map tools.
Snapchat and Doom.
And, any game that does a kind of mix of free and paid stuff, I think that's just a very smart way to handle things.
And speaking of free, aren't they giving away the first level for free to everyone?
Yeah, they're going to give you a chance to try the first stage. You want to be like, hey, I want to play Doom. Almost like a demo.
How many stages are there?
There are 13 stages in the Doom main story.
So that's not an insignificant chunk of the game.
No, it's not. And I really kind of wish it was later on. Actually, I kind of wish it was a demo slice later because Doom's first level is good, but Doom gets significantly better halfway through. It's a really good game all the way, but that second half is the best part of Doom.
All right, so you like playing Doom.
I love playing Doom.
Do you want to play Doom in VR?
I'd play Doom in VR,
It's a very fast-paced game.
That's okay. I want to try this out. I want to see what it's like. I think that sooner or later we're going to get fast VR experiences. Just because nobody's made it work yet doesn't mean it's impossible.
Eagle.
Yeah, what?
Eagle fly.
Yeah.
Oh, it took me a second.
Sorry.
Okay, now I understand. But yeah, Doom is my favorite single-player shooter in maybe a decade. I absolutely adore it.
Yeah, BioShock's under a decade old.
Yeah, but the first half of BioShock's really great, but I don't know. Okay. I actually might have enjoyed Doom more.
Portal's a puzzle game?
Huh?
Is Portal a puzzle game?
Yes.
Portal's a puzzle game. Portal's one of the best video games ever made.
Well, they announced Doom and Fallout are both coming to VR.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really...
Fallout I can totally see working, especially with the VAT system. That seems really cool to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get a chance to play that later this week. So, check back on IGN. We'll have hands-on impressions of whether this is impressive or not impressive. But at first glance, it's like, that's super real, right? Like, a lot of the VR experiences we're seeing are like, I'm so excited about Ubisoft's Star Trek VR thing. But man, it looks like a game from like 2008, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
Like that's what a lot of to make something work in that immersive VR environment, you have to make those sacrifices. So for a game like Doom and Fallout to be fully realized in a VR environment, like I'm really surprised and impressed that we're there already in 2016.
It's absolutely intriguing. I can't wait to see it work out. I really do feel like there's a Super Mario Brothers of VR coming sooner or later. This game that just makes us go, oh, wow, I've never experienced anything like that before. And maybe speed's going to be a part of that. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be something that we think can't happen. Something we're like, no, nobody will ever be able to make that design work, and then somebody will in a way we didn't expect.
Well, Bethesda's main event last night was Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
Big game. That's their big new game this fall. What do you guys think?
Awesome Link to the Past type stuff going on. That one level they showed where you're kind of looking through a window into one timeline and walking through another and using them interactively. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It's really cool. I love that
timeline
setup.
shifts. You can shift the whole timeline back and forth. I don't think that game demos well. I was just
going to say, I'm really looking forward to that game. I think it looks great. I don't think the demo that they showed last night was the best demo of E3 that we've seen this year. A little bit on the weak side.
But maybe even playing a chunk of it will be more fun than watching it.
Yeah, it is a challenging game to sort of convey what makes it so cool and special, just like passively viewing it. But they have the advantage of this being a sequel, and everyone already knows that the first Dishonored was so rad.
Yeah.
And, we saw enough of the sequel to know that they're not doing anything to screw it up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks like more awesome Dishonored. The thing that I really like as a gamer is that they're really insistent that the two characters you can play as are completely separate.
Yeah.
So that's two complete, you're going to get a radically different experience if you play through that game two separate times. So
I'm totally going to play through the game twice. Each player has their own abilities.
Yeah, and there's actually a third option, which is go through the game with no special abilities.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is that really an option?
Yeah.
You can actually make it through the game?
Yeah, so when you're given the choice of who to play as, you can say, no, I'm just going to go through with no powers at all. And then that's sort of, I don't know if it would literally be a hard mode, but it's sort of a third way to go through the game.
That's kind of like the no-kill option just in the previous game. I just really like it when a game is that good of game design that you can play with it that much. Really cool.
This is another game that if you pre-order, you get the original.
It's great.
The definitive edition of Dishonored 2, which I didn't actually play the definitive edition, so that's more incentive for me.
But you shouldn't, because you should first read the review on IGN.com and then make your purchasing decision.
What's this crusade against free games?
Oh, no, I'm not big on pre-orders. No, not big on them.
Also hinted at, but you should be big on free games.
I like free games.
Good games.
Free is good.
They hinted at a new Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Didn't want to. I saw you.
A very thin hint.
I saw you press Pete Hines on it, but he wasn't.
Yeah, no, he is a professional.
Wasn't going to give anything. He wasn't like, you duped me and giving you all the
If
scoops.
people missed it, it was actually really, really clever. Bethesda opened their press conference with sort of an old school DOS prompt and a bunch of text sort of scrolled by, and it was a bunch of titles of Wolfenstein games and their release dates, and then just very briefly it said Wolfenstein New Colossus with the dates X'd out. So that's like the slimmest of hints. There it is. Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah. Yep.
The slimmest of hints that I just love the winky acknowledgement that, hey, there's going to be a new Wolfenstein at some point. We'll see in a year when we have something to say about it.
I don't remember in the last Wolfenstein, was there a giant machine called the Colossus?
I do not know what this is referencing. I haven't gone back and dug it up.
It's a reference to the very, very end of what's the most recent one, the New Order? Whatever the most recent one was, New Colossus, it's a reference to the end of that game.
The thing I like about Wolfenstein is that is a game that is ripe for a sequel, because the first one was a full of good ideas, but very rough around the edges shooter.
Yeah.
It made some curious decisions, and it had some wonderful level design, some really great control and action sequences, but it also had a ponderous opening and some, using a button to pick up items,
that
game, strange things.
The ponderous opening is an understatement. And I liked Wolfenstein, but goodness gracious,
no,
that game takes a long time to get going.
Yeah, it's a really good game that needed some polish, and I think a sequel.
You were like 2.5 hours into that game before you see the title screen.
But I don't think it's boring.
Yeah, I never thought that either. There was a big reaction against the first couple hours of that game.
It's a very long intro, but I thought it was exciting.
You're on a plane, you're talking to a guy, and then you shoot stuff.
Yeah, you're climbing out, you're scaling the walls, you're getting inside.
But I'll tell you what, the game does get better. We can all agree on that.
Spoilers. And much to the chagrin of the Lucy O'Briens and Caleb Lawsons of the world, no Evil Within was mentioned during Bethesda's conference.
Nope. We'll get that, I bet.
I thought maybe that might be coming. But
not now, but we'll get that.
I don't think so.
You don't think there'll be another one?
It's gone.
Nonsense. Madness, I say.
Maybe next year. We'll see. All right, one of the top headlines coming out of this E3 so far is Batman: The Telltale Series first screens and cast revealed.
Yeah.
When was I guess it was during the Game Awards last year that Telltale revealed they have a Batman game coming, and we hadn't seen anything until now.
I like the mix of just Bruce Wayne gameplay and Batman gameplay. Yeah. I think the temptation to just be Batman all the time is really strong. But I think it's more interesting storytelling when that's not, when he's an actual detective.
And
it's to live that Bruce Wayne life for a little while.
Absolutely, and this has been said too many times. But I mean, what a perfect marriage of game design style and narrative. I mean, Batman is the perfect hero for this kind of game. He's the world's greatest detective. The people Batman deals with are often more interesting than he is. And so you're going to have all kinds of really spectacular dialogue possibilities that are going to grow out of that. Batman's kind of this kind of crazy dude that way more crazy people rotate around. And I think that's going to lead to a wonderful series of episodes.
It's killed any hopes that I had of getting a Moon Knight game from Telltale.
That's what you're hoping for?
Yeah, I've been holding out hope, but I think I can close that door.
Before they announced Batman, I was hoping for Superman.
Your change.org petition might have to come down.
But it has 28 signatures.
Troy Baker is playing Bruce Wayne.
Of course he is.
You realize the fun fact is that Troy Baker will have played Batman, Joker, and Two-Face.
Yeah,
Whoa.
it's pretty rad.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, so Harley Quinn next, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Harley Quinn's up. And Telltale announced they have upgraded the engine for this series, which I think has been a long time coming. That's really good to hear.
I never think of engine problems when I think of Telltale games, but
are you being sarcastic?
I mean, I know there's like little bugs in them, but it's not like an engine. I think of that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like, oh, this game needs QA.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I think for me in general, the games have never run particularly well for me. But
I do get audio sync problems a lot in those games.
And frame rate problems.
But you're just watching people on it. It's just a TV show.
Just a TV show. It's not just a TV show. It's an interactive TV show. EA's press conference. How did we feel about that one?
Which one was that again?
That's the one with Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1 and the Star Wars games and Mass Effect.
Yeah. You're going out of order. That's what tripped me up. No, I like Titanfall 2 because that's one that kicked off the Robot Buddy trend of E3.
Ah, okay. With Titanfall 2, they revealed the single-player campaign and the look of that and the concept of that. Yeah, that seems really cool.
There's a lot of loud music, very exciting, big robots. That's a video game. I'm good with it. Sounds good.
That's all you need to know?
Yeah, big robots, loud music, multiplayer, single player, sure. Yeah, I mean, let's go.
I really, really liked. I mean, everyone's buzzing about the single player. It's what we wanted from the first game to begin with. Now they're finally giving it to us, and it looks like it's really, honestly, more interesting than they needed to make it. But it's that multiplayer trailer. Like, I don't even really care about Titanfall multiplayer that much.
But
the trailer was so good.
Yeah. With your zip lines or grappling hooks or whatever they are, using them to fling yourself around the environment.
I talk a lot about loving good story in games, but sometimes you just need a big, dumb robot game, and this looks like that. So I'm a big fan of that.
I was kind of surprised they went the Last Guardian route with the single player, where it's like you have a robot that kind of follows you around and helps you out and saves you. I mean, it was very Last Guardian.
No, that robot is not going to make it through the end of that campaign. Fun fact, Titanfall was originally called My Robot and Me.
Huh, and I did not know that.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 is out October 28th, 1 week after Battlefield 1. But correct me if I'm wrong, I think October 28th is also the day that Skyrim Special Edition is out.
Those are really 1 week apart?
I don't have the date. I don't know.
Yeah, Titanfall and Battlefield 1 are 1 week apart.
Why would EA do that? I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
Nope. I did not do my homework. I don't know those dates. Wow, really? 28th of October.
Does Battlefield 1 have a campaign?
Yeah. Anyway, we got to go to the commercial. More Game Scoop right after these messages.
Your father was the bravest man I've ever seen.
We all lost someone we love.
Oh my God. They're coming back.
Make no mistake, this is humanity's last stand.
We've got to remind them Earth is not for the taking.
Independence Day Resurgence.
IGN's aerial footage of E3 is provided by Independence Day Resurgence. In theaters June 24th.
Welcome back to GameScoop at E3 2016. We're streaming all day. We've been streaming all weekend long. We're going to be streaming well into the next week, bringing you all the hottest new games that are being announced here at E3. If you want to be a part of the show, just tweet your questions at IGN with hashtag E3 2016, and from time to time, we'll share them live here on the show. It's time to take a look at the sci-fi games of E3 this year. This is a sci-fi roundup brought to you by Independence Day Resurgence. Now, I started making a list of sci-fi games at the show this year, and I realized sometimes it's a little confusing as to whether or not. Yeah. So I decided this is the start of a new segment on GameScoop called "Is It Sci-Fi?"
Ooh.
Okay. And you guys will help me decide. So something like 100-foot robot golf.
Sci-fi. Yeah,
Probably
robots
sci-fi.
playing golf, because robots don't normally play a lot of golf.
No.
So I think that's science fiction.
Yeah,
They're not known for it.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, now it's sci-fi.
Yeah.
That one, right?
I mean,
It's
it's
in space.
spaceships.
Yeah, space guns.
It's far in the future, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
yes.
Definitely, yeah.
definitely.
Classic
That
sci-fi.
one soaks itself in its sci-fi influences. Yeah.
Soaked
But a different
sci-fi.
type of sci-fi, though, right? That's like the augmented people future
Blade Runner.
sci-fi, whereas
Well,
like
so you'll have
doesn't
purists. I don't know how
spaceships.
much we want to get into this. I don't want to talk about Earth stuff.
Yeah.
No, but you'll have purists that will tell you that sci-fi has to deal with themes of
Fictional science.
Well, yeah, but that's the direction that I tend to lean. I'm like, look, does it have laser guns and robots? And I'm fine calling it sci-fi, but some people really, really want to get into the questions of humanity and using fictional technology to hold up a lens.
You're
to
talking about
mankind
people
and-
that insist on calling Star Wars space fantasy.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There are certainly. I mean, Star Wars is space fantasy, but that doesn't mean it can't also be sci-fi. Genre distinctions are fun, but they exist for our convenience, not to cause us headaches. So let's go on with this awesome game.
That's pretty good. So it starts to get a little cloudy here. Dishonored 2.
Wow. Yeah, because you got the mental powers, but you also have some pretty awesome
Stumped 'em.
tech.
See, we could call that fantasy, right?
I think so.
Yeah, we can call it fantasy, but there are some neat little
Strike
gadgets.
it from the list.
And you know what? If you go to a bookstore, sci-fi and fantasy is always in the same section.
It's true. It's
Yeah,
just genre trash fiction, and I say that as someone that's exclusively what I read.
That's true, but the aesthetic of Dishonored, that world is kind of sci-fi-ish. I mean, that setting does feel a little sci-fi.
They got those big tall robot things.
Yeah. So
Now they
I'd
do.
say
It's
I'm gonna
gotten
say
more
sci-fi.
sci-fi. I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
say
gotten
sci-fi.
more sci-fi because there's time travel in it now.
Okay.
All right, Gears of War 4.
Yes.
Yeah, sci-fi.
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 Sci-fi game.
Future, spaceships, monsters.
Gravity Rush 2.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. Sci-fi.
Sure, a soft yes.
Yeah.
Soft yes, that one's a sci-fi game. Halo Wars 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Obviously.
sci-fi.
Pretty easy to call.
Yep.
Pretty easy to call. Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yep.
That's
Sci-fi.
science fiction. Although we haven't seen all that much of it yet.
Yeah, who knows what it is. Show us more Mass Effect.
They said it's going to be so pioneering. Maybe it'll be like a Serenity,
Oh,
like
like-
Firefly.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, that Ghost Riders in the Sky thing, it's the
Yeah.
pioneering. Yeah, maybe so.
Just don't use that theme song. It's really bad.
You don't like that song?
What's wrong with that song?
I love that trailer.
great song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost Riders in the
Oh, no, not that song.
sky. Oh, which one?
The Firefly theme song.
Oh, no, we're talking about. Anyway,
Anyway.
Joss Whedon performs that song and wrote it.
Prey seems to be
Yeah.
a sci-fi
It's
game.
looking pretty sci-fi.
No, what about Recore?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about robots with big cores. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Jared, you are going to call Star Wars. Any Star Wars game is going to be a sci-fi game?
I think so. I mean, and until we're running around with plasma-powered blasters, yeah, I think so. I think
We can
it's
take the
sci-fi.
fantasy back door if we need to.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Hyperspace, laser swords,
All right.
Couple more we need to determine. Titanfall 2,
Yes.
sci-fi. Sure.
sci-fi game.
Giant mechs.
And what about Watch Dogs 2?
No.
Wow.
Too contemporary.
Too contemporary.
I think
be
the
sci-fi.
ability to like take over somebody's car and drive
It's
it around
cyberpunk.
town in 3 seconds. It is. Yeah, it's more William Gibson-y. I think it's actually sci-fi.
So many beepers.
Guys, what about
beepers getting
Steep?
hacked?
What's that?
What about Steep?
Oh, Steep is.
2 words. Mountain View. That's new tech.
What about Horizon?
Well, yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
So that one's a really.
Post-apocalyptic?
But yeah, they're not back to the Stone Age, but it is in the future.
Robot
And there are robot dinosaurs.
Robot
You
dinosaurs
tell me.
are the embodiment of sci-fi. Like if you open up a dictionary for sci-fi, you should see a big robot dinosaur with a caveman next to it.
Yeah.
So definitely sci-fi.
Yeah.
So I didn't even bring up like the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Some of them are.
Final Fantasy 15.
Some of them you go to the moon and there's spaceships and it's very, but it also has fantasy in the name. So
yeah, I think science fiction's been a part of Final Fantasy since the very first one. Things like when you first run into
People forget about that.
Warmech on that bridge,
then they retconned it.
Yeah.
You go onto in Final Fantasy 1 on the NES, you go into a space station.
You do, yeah.
And then they changed it to a big tower in the sky.
But originally it is a space station.
Yeah, that's why you fight Warmech. You're totally right.
Well, you get to the top of the tower in the sky, and then it teleports you to a space station, and you can see the stars. Like you can look down through and see that you're looking down.
And it's all techno music. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, make a series called Final Sci-Fi.
See?
Oh my gosh.
GameScoop's full of ideas.
Yeah.
That's a quick roundup of sci-fi games at E3 this year. Checking in with our poll results, 66% are voting to pass on the Xbox One S and waiting for Xbox Scorpio. We have about 10 minutes left here before we have to hand you off to the next segment of E3 Live today. But before we go, let's talk big picture stuff. What has been your guys' favorite conference so far? Choices are EA, Bethesda, Microsoft, and Ubisoft.
It's easy for me, Bethesda. I saw more things I wanted to play in a concise, well-presented... if we're talking about production, Bethesda. If we're talking about the games I wanted to play, Bethesda. I think they have owned the show so far.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have to go with Bethesda, too. So every press conference is, they open with 2 or 3 big, awesome games, and then they have the games that are a little bit shakier in the middle, and then they close with big, awesome games. But the thing about Bethesda is even the shakier games are games that I'm really into. Like, I really like Elder Scrolls Online. Played it for a long time, want to jump in. I really like digital card games, so Elder Scrolls Legends appeals to me too. So, across the board, end to end, every single one of their games, is ticking a box that's interesting to me.
Well, my favorite game, which I haven't discussed yet.
Yeah, it's part of the Ubisoft conference.
Happened to be in the Ubisoft conference.
Yeah. Which one?
What is it? I'm giving you guys
your
guess.
favorite game. So it's not Ghost Recon.
You win fruit snacks.
Is it going to be Trials Blood Dragon?
What is it?
I thought it was Steep. I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, it's Star Trek VR.
Okay, I'm sorry. My apologies. I thought you were being. I thought you were.
No, I really liked that game. Like I thought, just that kind of like get drunk with your friends, put on Oculus Rift,
fly around the Enterprise,
and move buttons around and shout orders.
Crash the Enterprise into the sun.
It sounds such a fun party game. Yeah. I just in my mind, I know they didn't demo it that way. And it looks old. And
I love how the footage is him going.
Yes, doesn't it look like a ridiculous party game? It's like Office Simulator, but on the Aegis.
I think it could be a ton of fun. Yeah. I actually really want to play this game. Of all the things I've seen at the show, it's one of the most exciting because it's somebody actually trying something really new. They're trying to use VR in a way that hasn't been used before. And games where you have to cooperate with your friends, the idea, so look, it's pressing a bunch of buttons, which doesn't sound exciting, but I mean, if you've ever been in a space battle in EVE Online and you're just trying to get away at the last possible second, that doesn't look exciting until you're actually doing it.
But we all watch Star Trek, and it's an hour of people sitting in the bridge talking to each other.
Yeah, and you're forced to coordinate.
I'm fine with that.
Exactly. You have a captain he's issuing orders, and other people trying to do their parts.
I love that everyone has a role. This is a deep cut, but I used to play a game called Puzzle Pirates, and that was a pirate game where you would sail on the high seas, and one person was the captain, one person was on the sails, one person was on the bilge pump, and you all had like a role to play. And this is like a next-gen, Star Trek VR version of that. Like, what more could you want?
So Ubisoft conference is too long, but it had some of my favorite games in it. And then I would say EA, but man, they didn't show enough of Star Wars and Mass Effect, the things that I'm most interested in. Too teasy.
I don't know what's going on with Mass Effect.
Yeah, EA felt like a conference about games that I really want to play and I'll have a chance to in a couple of years.
That was. We're gonna have a great E3 in a couple of years.
Oh yeah, when that visceral Star Wars game is finally revealed.
Yeah,
in 2019.
Yeah, and then the Respawn one. Oh man, sounds really good. I think the Microsoft conference has impressed me the most so far. They bookended it with their hardware announcements, but then it was just game after game after game that, for the most part, all looked really fun to me. I thought it flowed well, didn't dip really at any point, lose my attention, except when...
I agree with you on that. The conference
except when Forza came on. That's when I took my cue to go get breakfast.
Scoop.
But the best game you've seen so far, your favorite game is Star Trek VR.
I know that sounds crazy.
No, not at all.
I'm so excited to see Zelda, though, so it's hard for me to contain myself.
What did you think of the Eagle Flight VR game?
I'll play it. I like arcadey, fast pick up and play multiplayer, and that's exactly what that looks like. So yeah, totally. And it's something different.
All right. So what is your favorite game you've seen so far?
Quake, because I never imagined it would happen. I have no idea if it's going to be good or not. But again, they've produced a lot of great takes on other shooters. So why not believe that they're going to do
What's
it now?
number 2? Is it Bridge Crew?
Yeah, Bridge Crew's number 2. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really
got
want to
2
play
crew
Bridge
members
Crew.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have to play this together.
Scoop Crew?
Scoop Crew.
Let's form a crew. Can't we also form a crew on Xbox One now?
Yeah.
Form a Scoop Crew, everyone. We're forming a crew. You're invited. What's your favorite game?
Yeah, it's a harder question for me to answer than I expected.
We're only like, we still have 2 conferences yet to come, but so far.
I mean, I was really, really impressed with We Happy Few.
You stole mine, but okay.
Well, okay, I mean, I'll say, like, I love that Gears of War is back. I mean, Judgment was kind of so-so.
Gears of War 4 looks really fun.
Even 3 was, like, kind of so-so. Like, it's time for Gears to be great again. 4 is in a new developer's hands, and, it was kind of iffy on how it's going to turn out, and it seems like it's going to turn out great.
Yeah. That seems like a lot of fun, and We Happy Few seems awesome. That demo is very, very cool. Yeah. Let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Hey, Big T.
Remember, you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com, just like Andy from Philadelphia did. Says, so to preface this, Jared, you've become famous. Should I say infamous?
Oh, dear.
Should I say notorious?
Wow.
For being a Banjo-Kazooie hater.
Okay.
This is coming back again?
That's fair.
And but you have a sympathizer in Andy from Philadelphia. He says, I don't really understand what Banjo-Kazooie is or why people love it so much. I was born in 1980. I feel that around the time Crash Bandicoot came out, I was already over platformers as a game genre. However, I remember feeling moved at seeing Mario 64 displayed for the first time on a projector system. Currently, I love such platformers as Braid, Limbo, most recently Unravel. I consider these thinking men's platformers. Am I just the wrong age to have properly appreciated something like Banjo-Kazooie, or am I just not a real platformer enthusiast? Love the show, all you guys, especially Jared Petty.
Don't let Jared answer
Wow,
it.
I feel so nice.
Don't let him answer.
We call him a right-minded individual. I don't hate Banjo. I want to make that very clear. It's just not a game that I want to play again. I'm done. I
promise you that you just saying I don't hate Banjo is going to be on YouTube juxtaposed with you saying I hate Banjo
probably
from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But consistency, it's all a lie. It's fine. It's just not a game I enjoy. And I think there's a lot to respect about the design. But when it all came together, it's a lot of good ideas that I didn't think worked out very well. I think Banjo is just too padded, too tedious, and kind of loud, obnoxious, and yucky.
And that's E3 2016.
We all love Banjo. Andy here is another child of the 80s like we are, but he can't get into it. I don't know.
It takes plenty of thought. There's very difficult collectibles to find in that game. I'll go that far.
Yeah.
Some funny puzzles.
No, I mean, it's the exploration aspect of it. That's what I like about 3D platformers and why I'm so excited about Yooka-Laylee is you see something all the way over there, and then you see a bunch of platforms, and you see a little path, and then it's the promise that you can actually get there.
I was disappointed this was not showcased more at Microsoft's conference today.
Yeah. That's what I love about 3D platformers, about the exploration-based 3D platformers like Banjo, and I'm so excited that they're back and having a second chance.
But Justin, there's a minecart level on the screen right now, or there was a moment, a minecart level. Who wants a minecart level?
I don't.
You don't want one?
If they do it right,
Banjo-Kazooie doesn't have minecart levels.
I know, but here we have minecart level. Why would you add a minecart level to any video game?
I don't know. I'm
scared,
Jared.
You know what has great minecart levels? Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, for the arcade?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, those are kind of fun. I agree. Yeah. Those are pretty well done.
Apology accepted.
Roll around. Prepare to meet Khalid.
Also, Minecraft minecart's kind of fun.
Yeah. Checking in with our final poll results for this show, seemingly 66% are voting to pass on Xbox One S.
Yeah.
Waiting for Xbox Scorpio. There you have it. But there are still 23 hours left to vote if you guys still want to vote in the poll. In our last couple of minutes that we have here before we have to hand you off, what have we not hit off on? Anything else from EA? Like you say, Mass Effect, they just said, yeah, we are still working on Mass Effect.
I got something for you.
Lay it on me.
So many leaks this year.
Oh, yeah.
That I feel like even like hours before the conferences, there were leaks, and it really it made the conferences kind of less exciting.
Almost.
Didn't ruin
Microsoft's
conferences or
almost
anything.
complete run of show leaks.
And then Ubisoft's as well.
It's such a great moment where there is a team of 200 people working on something for 2 years that they managed to totally keep a lid on, and they can show off a near finished product to the whole world. Like that's what makes E3 so special.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it the best time of the year for gamers.
Yeah.
2 other games I'm very interested in. We've seen at the show, Battlefield 1. Really want to learn more about that. I love World War I history. I think it'll be fun to see what take they took on that. I hope it's loud, boisterous, and silly, but at the same time, embraces all the different locales and environments that are a part of that war. Also, South Park, which I don't think demoed particularly well in that presentation. It was funny, but looks like a really interesting game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Coming up later this evening is the Sony press conference, and to my knowledge, there haven't been many leaks coming out of that yet. So hopefully there will be several surprises in store. Stay tuned. That is yet to come later on this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for this special E3 edition of GameScoop. We'll be back after this.